Welcome to episode 31 of Pineapples and Thorns. Hey guys, how are you tonight?
Doing great, Kat. How are you?
Doing excellent. Fado, you
Hey,
still alive?
super. Yeah, I'm using a loofah in the shower now, and it's really just reinvigorated me.
Good to hear. Peter, let's dive right into CFF news.
So, brought to us by Inc. was the Battle Royale Town Hall 14, and Bass and Baker was the last Town Hall 14 to enter the fray. And I think he liked it so much, he is taking point on other Town Halls. So, not this weekend. It will be June 12th. So, next weekend was going to be the Town Hall 8 tournament. I'm not sure how many signups he had. The last time I checked, it was 4, but since then I tagged a bunch of Town Hall 8s that I know, so I'm hoping his number has grown. Mm-hmm. So again, this is just a 1v1 FC tournament. You draw a random number, you attack each other. The winner, either by 3-star or percentage, will remain the champion, and then the next challenger will come on. Kat, how did you do in the Town Hall 14 one? I think you had a very low number.
I was number 2.
Yes, you did not get any grace to see how things work, did you? And of course, you ran into that buzzsaw, also known as Snoopy.
Yeah, it just rolled right over me and kept on going. So
he had a good long streak. I think if Snoopy had a higher number, he might have done very well out of that. I think he won 6 in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like one and done. That's it. And for the Town Hall 8s, like if anybody who's listening is interested in joining it, how do they sign up?
Again, in one of the channels, any channel, you type I am royal, and that will get you the role. And that should show you the channels. Then it's easy to sign up from there.
Great. And yeah, if anybody's not in the CFF server, just look in our podcast notes and you'll see the link there and you'll be able to join that.
Perfect. So this month, June, will be Town Hall 8. Then Bass and Baker's hoping to run Town Hall 9, Town Hall 10, Town Hall 11, all the way back up to 14 again in, I guess 6 months' time. Just something to keep us looking forward to.
Those are a lot of fun. Reminds me of the old esports Town Hall tournaments that they did originally.
The original ones, yes.
Mm-hmm. What else is happening?
SCWL is rolled around again. Red Thorn is running a 30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and advance back up into champs. We did pretty well that first war. I don't remember the final, but I know we won that first war, so that's good. And we're running a few people in Crystal Warrior. The Crystal Warrior is really ranked up, though. It's making it very hard for anybody who's not a Town Hall 14 to kind of compete.
Yeah, we only have 4 14s to choose from, and one of them's a 1-star specialist, me. So, here we are.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just to get those medals, right? The medals are still valuable for anybody climbing up. Mm-hmm. I actually ended up answering the call for MB. She had some people not show up, so I took my Town Hall 13 over to Frostlight 2. And oh boy, we matched up some. I think there must be 8 or 9 Town Hall 14s, and we matched up against 2 or 3 Town Hall 14s. So that one was a bit of a run. Yeah. So that would be fun. It should be a good CWL week, we hope.
Let's talk a little bit about the tour we're on, doing a podcaster tour. Where have we been and where are we going, Peter?
We have been to Dark Contingent, Clash Living, and High Voltage. Can you remind me what was High Voltage? Whose clan was that?
That's Torps.
That was Torps. Okay, so he came over and hung out with us in Voice. I think he had a lot of fun having us there.
Yeah. He's been on Voice a few times with us. He's having a good time.
It's kind of neat to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Someone in one of those clans said, "And Peter, what is it that you do?" "Oh, I have a podcast with Kat." "Oh, okay. I have to go look for that one." So,
that's
welcome,
right,
new listener.
No, it was a lot of fun because getting out there to see how other clans are doing things. It's always kind of a treat to step outside, your norm.
Absolutely. It's hard not being at home, I must say. I think I put that into the channel with everybody, and they all boo-hooed me because I'm such a homer. But it's
fun. But it's good to get back to like you say, to your home.
Exactly. Fado, we're gonna have to ask you, what do you think? What do you think of that podcaster tour?
It's good to get out and you know have all the flowers thrown at your feet and all that. I don't know if maybe it's just me that's happening too, but
Yeah.
it's just neat. It's neat to get out. It's neat to get away. And you know, you, even though some days you have a rough day or a rough war, and I have my share. There's still people out there that are like, "Wow, that was kind of neat." I've never done that before. You show me,
That's
and it
right.
was like, "Oh, okay." Not everyone's as spoiled as we are for all the time being around someone who can just dismantle a base whenever he seems like he wants to, and we have a handful of those in Redthorn.
Right now we do.
Yeah, yeah. And also, it does make it a little more interesting when you're trying to manage the clan capital stuff as well as, someone like me, I have a tag along mini for donations and I don't dare try and say, hey, I deserve two spots in your clan, so boot two people. Um, so, you just kind of make the most of it. And I suppose that those are the days we use our clan medals for donations.
Because you're still running Blizzard, right? So you were always looking for Super Wiz.
Yeah, I've switched away from it lately just to try other things, but I'm proving to be versatile in my mediocrity.
Oh, poor Fido.
So where are we going next, Peter?
um, I've been trying to get us into a clan called Cat Power, spelt the way you spell your name, Cat Power. I got us in there, and they spun the war, and they didn't include us. So that was like, oh well, what the heck?
Yes, I do remember that. We were
It
there.
was, yeah, it was like, oh, okay, I guess they don't quite get the premise of what we're trying to do here. So we left. I think that's when we ended up in High Voltage,
Yes.
and I got an invite. So I went back and said, oh, you know what? We just had a little misunderstanding. We're going to try and come back. And then it just didn't work out again. So I still would like to get us in there, only for the name. I don't know anybody there. They seem a little bit impervious to new people, I guess. I don't know. uh, but we keep getting invites, so we'll keep trying, I guess. And then I think C Note has somebody planned for Carl, so we'll see. We'll see what's
Yeah.
coming.
I think they've had a few people in their server asking if we can come by. So they've got a few clans on the list. So it'll be fun to
That's
go there.
great. That's good. Yes.
And then you did a real tour, a bunch of folks from around the CFF and C2J. Where'd you guys go?
Yes. We had a meetup in Buffalo, and it was a kind of combined CFF C2J meetup.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't think it was going to happen. We've been talking about it for quite a while, but we finally got to Buffalo. Stayed in the same hotel. I was unloading the truck, and Storm Rider standing outside, and it's like, Storm Rider, and he's like, Peter. So that was very, very cool to meet them in person. Got to
And
hang
C
out
Note
with
almost didn't make it.
Oh my goodness, yes.
What happened with C Note?
You're gonna have to listen to the live podcast from Buffalo because he tells the story very well. But basically, he had some car trouble. Took him a lot longer to get there than he meant to, which also meant I got to hang out with the Wizard of Woo and Hammer for an extended period of time before C Note arrived for a really late dinner. In
Yeah.
fact, just about every restaurant in the town closed by the time he arrived.
Well,
Poor guy.
yeah, I was on voice with C. We were keeping him company while he was driving. And Peter kept messaging me going, is he almost there? What's his ETA? I'd be like, 2 hours, 1 hour. He's almost there.
He's almost there. Is he going to make his war attacks? They were fighting Dark Sector that night.
Oh,
No,
that's
he
right.
is
They
not going
matched
to
you.
make those attacks. Oh, and just to clear the record, Dark Sector absolutely was a sister clan, but we do not control their spins. You can blame Red Thorn all you want, but we had nothing to do with that. So you're going to have to look somewhere else for that conspiracy theory that you're hoping for.
Talk to Ink.
Yes. Then the next morning, we got up bright and early and went up to Niagara Falls, and we got to meet Miss P and Queen JJB and Brew, and Ink was there. So that was a lot of fun. We walked around the American side of the falls. It was hotter than Hades. I can't believe how warm it was that day for another May day. And then we all headed back to Miss P's house, and her mom was gracious enough to open up the place, and We did a friendly war, Buffalo versus the world. The first attacks I think were all fairly reasonable. I think everybody else was drunk after that, but it was a lot of fun. It was great hanging out with everybody. Ink is a very interesting fellow. He's, if you've ever been on voice with him and tried to FC,
Mhm.
he's okay, try this, try that, and he'll move stuff. And I watched him. And then you posted in the toolbox, Kat, about how you can move one item in place of another as long as it's in the exact same spot. There's no cooldown.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Right.
he set it up, air defense behind, or rather scatter shot behind air defense. See if you can reach that with the flame flinger, and sure enough, so yeah, he's very what's the word? Not intense, but because he was very laid back about it, but he's very
He's
capable.
meticulous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was just ready to help. Boom. Oh yeah, this is how you do this. Of course, it
Yeah.
doesn't hurt that he plays on like a 35-inch monitor. His iPad must be as big as my table here. It was it was very
Oh, is he
good.
running an iPad Pro?
I think it must be a Pro. Yeah, yeah. So
That's
anyway,
funny.
that was a lot of fun.
The pictures look like you guys had a great time.
The weather was fantastic. There was some threat of rain and it never came. Miss P turned on the sunshine for us. I got to play a game called it's a frisbee a flying disc game called Can Jam, and of
Hmm.
course bets ensued, and well, C Note is the champ and I am not, and you can see that by my Discord name change for the whole month. So that was a lot of fun. I ended up
Yes.
getting revenge against him. Um, Miss P's boyfriend and I took out I guess it was Wizard of Woo and Miss P's boyfriend's sister, who were the reigning champs. They won a lot of games that day, so we beat them as the last game as the sun went down. So that was great.
Yeah, I saw they were trying to convince you that it was a year-long name change.
Yeah, well, I couldn't remember what the terms of the agreement were, so. And then we had serenaded by a live podcast. C Note and Wizard of Woo did a podcast right there from Miss P's garage, and that was
Hmm.
the most fun I think I've had listening to a podcast. It was hilarious, and that's where
Yeah.
C Note regales us with his oh my goodness trip from hell. I think if he'd been reading the stars, he might have just stayed in bed that day.
Yeah. Anything that could go wrong went wrong for him.
Exactly. And then finally, we got to do a day of golf, and then
Hmm.
Ink cooked us some super duper flank steak tri-tip something. I'm gonna get the name wrong. I know Married to Clash is recording later tonight, so they'll get the name right. And I'm not a big rice fan, but Ink made a pineapple shrimp rice, cooked it. Oh, it was amazing. Right, and I'm not
Wow.
a huge rice fan. It was really 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 good.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it was fantabulous.
But was he threatening you guys, with that pineapple? He's like, "Hey, I'm here to make pizza."
No mention of pineapple and pizza were uttered in the same sentence.
Phew.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. I think Wizard of Woo said it best. He knows he's having fun when his face hurts from smiling. So that was a good tribute to the
That's
day.
awesome.
Yep,
That's fantastic.
yep. So both of you, please try to get to the next one. I'd really really like to meet you in person.
We'll have to figure something out. So speaking of Clash, we've had a few weeks to play Clan Capital, Fado.
Hmm.
The floor
Yeah,
is yours.
yeah. Um, with Clan Capital, it's interesting, right? You advance through it. You open up new. Oh, I don't know what you call them, like sub villages, lower villages, what have you, and you open up new troops. You open up new spells. It's very similar, except that other people are contributing, other people are building. It's the onus is not just on the single player to build up, what's essentially the clan's base or villages or what have you. And in 3 weeks of playing, I have come to the conclusion that I have yet to find a reason to use anything primarily but sneaky archers. And that's a problem to me. It's one of the very first troops. It's probably got the lowest HP of any troop. Yet paired with a rage, like you can take down anything in 3 hits or 4 for the clan capital. If you mix in some of the log art or log barb dudes to get through. I just don't see the point. I think it's fun and funny, But at the end of the day, they spent a lot of development cycles for players to use what, 18 minutes a week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, so it gets like, what's the point? Like, where are we going with this? So they kind of mixed some elements of the builder base. You've got the Crusher,
Mhm.
you know, I think you know, what am I thinking of? You got the Rocket Loons as like normal troops, so that's not really a builder base thing, but it's more of like mixing things from your home village and the builder base.
Right.
And the only real benefit seems to be the clan medals. Now, I know it's like, okay, people have been clamoring for a way to top off their own CCs and things like that. Okay, cool. But like that's it. Like I get to spend 18 minutes a week for I mean it just seems like a lot more thought could have put into the game mode that brought us all here anyway. And I know I appreciate they're trying something new, but I don't think it's going anywhere. So a couple of things they could really improve upon is both from a base building standpoint and an attacking standpoint is an ability to leave notes. So and even even in a clan war, when you're leaving a note, it says who left the note. When
Right.
you're redoing a village or redoing, the capital hall, you're editing the base, why doesn't it say last edited by so and so? So, I mean, if you have a saboteur in there who comes in and is a jerk and screws it all
Mhm.
up, you know who did it. Or, just so you know when and where it's been updated. And if you see something that hasn't been updated for a week, then like a little bit of love could be given to it.
Sure.
And then from an attacking standpoint, it could be, if you run out of attacks and there's one of the villages has, say, 60% down. And so I'd say if you have one attack with about 60% of the village left with a healthy amount of defenses, you ought to be able to think it through and get it down in one if you carefully plan it. If you just spam those hogs and loons, no frickin' way.
Right.
So, the ability to leave notes there would be super. And again, I wonder if this is all leading up to a clan capital, clan war type thing, though. So, yes, you as a clan are facing off against other clans. But at the end of the day, you don't, it still comes back to clan medals. What you don't get out of this is, hey, we are facing off against, and I'm going to pick on a clan that I used to be in that we've run into twice now, is Axe You Something. So AYS, you could do a friendly challenge against them and either see, how much game time did it take to get, all your bases down or how many attacks. And that would be like a war. And how long would that even take to conduct, right? So there are 6 or 7 villages in a capital, in clan capital, and you take say 3, 4, even 5. You're still looking at just 30 attacks, and not a heck of a lot of thought and planning really needs to go into this. You can do those attacks easily within 2 hours, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
I mean, is that on the horizon? Because that would help jazz it up. Um, would it contribute to clan leveling? And what even is clan leveling after level 10, by the way? So
Sure.
who knows? There are opportunities to make it a little more exciting. And what else could be added? The ability to copy bases with links would be good. Maybe changing it from X attacks per day, I'm sorry, per weekend to X attacks per day.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, unless you're a guy running 49 alts in the same clan, you can knock this out pretty quickly. And it's not something like, a TH14 attack for a non-pro where you could theoretically sit there and plan for a lot longer than you intend. Like you can knock out your attacks really without thinking at this point in time, especially like me, if I just use archers and those log barb dudes. So drop a rage and a couple zaps and make sure, especially after like the first hit, I barely even use the rage in the first hit unless there's super high value I can get to.
Right.
Otherwise, I leave it for the second hit. That way, you
Mhm.
almost get two rage spells essentially for one hit. Um, so, but like it's crazy. Like I can come in and be like, all right, well, I got 2 accounts in this clan, and I check on Sunday afternoon. If there's still a couple slots unused, I'll ping Cat, say, hey, can I bring a mini over? Because yeah, I do kind of enjoy doing the hits, but I can still do them in about the time it takes for me to drive to the store and back.
Now, Fado, you
Now
forgive me first.
I don't really do it when I'm driving. That wasn't the point, Peter. But go ahead.
Well, you know, when we were first starting, and I wasn't really in clan because we were on the tour, and I forget what I was doing that first week. Oh, maybe SCWL was that first week. I thought I saw you FCing an awful lot. It seemed like you were more engaged in it than I was, particularly. But what has changed your mind? Like, is it just too simplistic? What is it that's like? You seemed like you were interested, and now you seem like you're could do without it.
Well, it's not that I could do without it. It's just like it's kind of like shrugging and saying, "Is that it?" kind of thing. Because I have seed a lot, and I have seed with a lot of different troops, and like, oh, cool, there's this 100 troop space
Yeah,
mothership thing,
the
and
gunship.
you
Yeah,
realize if I just use archers and and some of those log barbs, like I don't even know what that troop's called, but whatever, like wall breaker barbs. Like I'm doing better. So I mean, I the strategy part of it's lost on me. Like if I can do better with basically archers than all the other more powerful troops that get wiped out quickly by like the rocket artillery and all those other things, like yeah, that runs its course kind of quickly. Like I unless I'm grossly misusing those things, and I'm certain I am. Like you know me, like I don't use troops right. But if you paired that rocket, the mother load, whatever that darn flying behemoth is, with let that tank a little for other things working around it, sure. But even at 100 troop space, that doesn't leave you. That leaves you with like 6 or 12 rocket loons that you can deploy 2 at a time, 6 times, right?
yeah,
So I mean, even as a tank, you're kind of like, well, okay. And then if you tried it with giants and super whiz, you can do that a little more effectively because they're smaller troop counts, and so you can deploy them a little smarter. But still, like they're pretty wimpy up against the heavy, like the rocket artillery, the
yeah.
blast bow, whatever that thing's called, and the at the Capitol Hall, you essentially got the eagle thing.
Right.
So I just found that like snipe as you can move the border of where you can deploy in that 5 seconds or whatever the sneaky archer gives you under rage, especially, you can do a lot of damage.
Agreed.
And so I just, in my mind, like when I'm playing it, I FC'd with that troop and this troop. I always have come back to archers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I like
so
sneaky archers.
I guess to answer your question, I really took a roundabout way to get there, kind of like C note. But love you, C. Uh, um, it's that I haven't found like the variety yet, and there's so little you can actually do in base building to protect against that. So you almost can't protect against the weakest troops in the game.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like during the week you can farm or anything on the capital side. It's like you can post FCs in the main village, like in your clan chat, and do FCs, but there's nothing really to engage you on that side of the map.
Hmm.
You know.
Just the peer pressure, right? Of, I'm doing this as part of the clan, and so I need to
Hmm.
get my raid metal forged and get the not metal, sorry, excuse me, my capital gold forged and placed on a spot. Which there's another thing. Excuse me, Fado. Why can't we say, what is the priority of the things we're doing here? It
Hmm.
has to be in a separate channel, a whole Discord channel. So that's been
Yeah.
frustrating. I agree, because I feel like I haven't known what's going on yet.
Say, like, I kind of look to see first. I'm looking for is any spells or troops need to be leveled up, and then I look for defenses. But I mean, you're having to scroll through every level to look and see. Okay, can I do something here? There's no priority list, so to speak, that you can just click. Like in the main village, you click your builders, and it says, "Well, we suggest you do this." But there's nothing that I've found yet on the clan capital side. for that.
And one of the things on the raid weekend that I've noticed is that over the course of the weekend, you get ranked among all the people that have hit in your clan. And I've found that actually creates a weird dynamic in that, let's say I do 2 attacks and get a base to 87%, right? That leaves what, maybe 1,200, 1,000 capital gold left.
Mhm.
And so you might be like, oh, let someone else finish this off so I can use my next 2 attacks and average, say, 2,000, 2,500 on my
Right.
next 2 attacks. And so that is kind of like, it's not reflective of everything that's going on. And it's kind of like, boy, it could be like Emmitt Smith and his touchdowns, right? You'd be like, well, they're all 2-yard touchdowns. It brings his rushing average down. It's not like Barry Sanders, who is just
Yeah, he had to
electric.
run the
You know what
whole
I mean?
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, I mean, in a way, not comparing like players to Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders, because at the end of the day, Emmitt Smith had more touchdowns. But if you need to punch it across the goal line and there's very little capital gold left to do it, it's a disincentive for people who are trying to move up their clan's leaderboard to actually finish the base.
agreed, agreed. Even though it's all our goal together, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Right,
I see what you're saying,
right.
though. Yeah,
This kind of leads into my question that I was thinking about: is the clan capital enough to keep max players engaged in the game? Because the onus is really on the max players to forge the gold, because they tend to have the excess loot. I mean, if you've got somebody who's a Town Hall 12 or 13 who's needing every drop of loot that they have to upgrade their heroes and everything, uh, they can't really spare anything to stick into the forge to help out in the clan capital,
100% agree. Yeah, yeah,
you know.
Right. I find that on my 13 right now, which still has 4 defenses and a handful of traps left, so all my builders are occupied. I
yeah.
haven't forged a single, drop of capital gold on my 13.
Mm-hmm.
Where, and I don't know how much I'm bypassing there. It might not be 2,400 per builder for a 13. It might be a little lower, but still, you're talking about over the course of a week, you're talking at least 20,000 capital gold I'm not giving.
Yeah. Well, and I have a Town Hall 9 that's max, and I can only use one builder on the forge, and I have all kinds of loot that I need to spend on my 9, but you know, it's like 3-4 days per forge session
Yeah.
for one builder.
And for a max player, I don't know. There's like I said, you don't even barely need to scout a base there. You just kind of look at it to a million archers and the log barb thingy mabobbers, a
That,
rage,
that is the
couple
battle
zaps.
ram.
Thank you,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
So
I had to look it up.
yeah, boy, when I was ranting for minutes on end, you had plenty of time to do that, didn't you? But anyway, yeah, it's just an extra, right?
Yeah.
And even then, the max players that they may want to keep interested are the ones who are already in clans with loads of minis that can already donate whatever super troops to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure who this was targeted at, other than people that are finding the upgrade times too long, and so they're looking for something else to occupy some time.
Mm-hmm.
And but only raiding on the weekends, is that really filling that niche? I don't know. I think they missed the mark. I'm
Yeah,
very disappointed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I will say this, and I know it sounds like a stupid compliment, but I'm a software developer by trade, and they delivered this pretty smoothly and didn't break really didn't break anything. And so
Agreed.
from that standpoint, my hat's off to them. And there
Mm-hmm.
may be ways to spruce this up and really make it grow. But, this was a lot of people that maybe I follow a certain segment on Twitter or whatever, they're clamoring for enhancements to competitive top level Clash. And a lot of dev time was just spent building out something completely different. About as far from that as you could get. Because in a way, if you have a really low town hall level mini in the main base, they can still come in and do 190 troops and 5
Yeah.
spell
Yes.
space
Yes.
and whatever level of giant or whatever they want to do.
Hmm. Well, and that kind of leads me into my next question is, do you think that this was a way for them to say, if people are sitting in smaller clans where, there might be one or two people active, sort of to subtly encourage them to go looking for a bigger clan, a more active clan, to sort of consolidate players a little bit by encouraging
Well,
them to find new homes?
yeah, I can see how that would be, an end result of this. But at the end of the day, that hurts in a couple different ways. Number one, clans like that, say clans with 10, 12, even just 20 active players, when
Hmm.
they go to spin a war, they're going to match up against clans of similar size. And
Right.
so if everyone starts consolidating, there's going to be it's eventually going to get more and more difficult to match for, random spins. And so that kind of hurts in a way. It doesn't really impact Redthorn, and I'm spoiled by that. But I can see that happening. So I think I forgot the second one. So I'll let you guys go.
I don't know what people are thinking of it because, I heard Carl and he seemed fairly keen on the whole thing,
Hmm.
using his attacks, and he's trying the different troops like you said. I heard, Giants and Super Wiz, and then gearing up to switch to Rocket Loons and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think we finally unlocked the Mountain Golem. That will be interesting. I can see how that we have now got the top tier of troop could drag people here. Can I come war with you this weekend just so I can try that Golem? Well, you could just come
Hmm.
FC with us during the week. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
hard to say.
For me personally, I am not terribly, I'm not feeling engaged in the clan capital. Like, you know, there's nothing there that's like saying, oh, this is super exciting. I really can't wait for the weekend so I can do my capital raids, all 5 of them, and 6 if I'm lucky enough to finish off a level. And then when I'm done my raids, I'm done for the weekend. And then, okay, then I go back to do my legend hits. But it's not, I don't feel that sense of engagement that I do in a regular clan war.
Right. And I thought this was going to be a great opportunity for like voice sessions and figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
And that passed really quickly.
Yeah.
Not because we did it and failed, but because I was like, you don't really need to scout. You barely need to scout. And in some ways, you're just kind of I mean, the coordination on it is where I suppose if you're concerned about someone coming in and you're looking at a base for like even 20 seconds and then all of a sudden it's under attack. I guess that would be the place, but again, there's also no way to call.
Right,
Yeah.
so
right.
so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Did you get to try a voice session with some people?
No, these are my voice sessions, Peter.
Okay. Raz and I got to sit down at work one day on a Friday and just said, "Oh, we could do the capital raids in Darkthorn," and that was actually fun. I mean, it was early days, right? Probably it was the very very first weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
he hit, I hit, he hit, I hit. We had a couple of minis each there, and that was engaging. But again, we were in person, so was it just the interaction of playing a game together, or was it actually the capitals?
Yeah.
Gameplay. I'm gonna say I think it was just that we were interacting as people together.
Yeah. I would like to try, like, you know, maybe being on voice with someone sometime when we're doing this, and just, see if it changes my perspective on the whole thing.
I mean, you guys last weekend could have done them in tandem, live in person.
That's
So what
right.
was that? Did you guys have spotters as you did your hits last weekend?
Nobody was really in a position to be spotting for anybody else. I
Look
watched
out,
over Ink's
incoming beer.
shoulder. Yeah, yeah. I watched over Ink's shoulder while he hit one, and I think Brew got his done fairly quickly just so he could get started on his evening. So I don't know. It could have been different. It wasn't really a Clash focused as much as it was people playing Clash getting together. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So let's move on to and talk about some other stuff. Gold Pass. They've added some clan capital loot as part of the rewards. Do you guys think it's at the expense of any other more useful rewards, or is it a good thing?
you know, I'm a max player. The rewards are only good for gems, so it could be that I'm getting fewer gems, but the capital gold, what would it be replacing? It's not replacing
Hmm.
like a 50 gem offer like the like a rune. So, maybe it's like the 500,000 gold or something, which equates to I think 5 gems or something. So,
Yeah.
you know, um, yay. I sure include it there, but it maybe costs a few gems over the course of a month. And, does that impact who does that impact? Oof, TH6, 7 players maybe, right? Because really, like, what is 500,000 gold to anyone above TH like 9 or 10?
Yeah,
Mm.
not a big
True
deal.
enough. True enough.
Are you still buying the gold pass, Fado, religiously on both accounts?
I am, but more for gems than anything. It's
Yeah,
cheap. It's like what, $5, and I think over the course of the month, with the one gem donations and getting gems for all the other things, that easily is worth $5 to me.
yeah. I have stopped buying it on little accounts. I'm not thrilled with the game at the moment. I'm buying it also for the one gem donations on
Hmm.
both my 14s. But what did you think? What did you think of the lifeguard warden?
Oh, I am on board. I didn't see the theme coming. Bring it on, man. Let's go full Baywatch. I, I want to see that royal champion running in to save me from a 1 star.
Oh
That's
boy.
next month. And the new trader shop, what do you guys think? Do you like what they've done with it?
Eh, yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
actually do. My Town Hall 9, I'm still working on Heroes, and that ability to just go in, once a month and have that book there, the Book of Heroes, all the time for
Hmm.
500 gems, I think is really, really an improvement. Because before you had to, had to know what day you're on in the cycle, so you didn't miss
Right.
buying it. Oh, so now it's just there. Okay, I don't need it this week, so it'll be there next week. Someone
Yep.
said the season ends, you get your capital, or not capital, sorry, your bank of dark elixir. Boom, you can put down your queen and right away buy the book and bring her back up. I think it's kind of
Yeah.
neat how they've done it.
Yeah. I'm liking it. I like that you can use your capital metals to go in there and buy, like, say, if you're farming an account and you need 25,000 DE, you can go in there and spend your capital metals to get that DE. So I like that. And I wish they'd allow you to buy some blue potions with them so that you could like speed up your forge, but
There you go.
that's the one thing that's missing. Then I was going to talk a little bit about esports in general. I know there used to be like a lot of hype surrounding the esports, the worlds. I haven't seen that as much lately. Do you think the novelty's worn off?
Well, for me personally, yeah, because I don't follow it close enough. I think for someone who follows it the way I follow it, having that predictable schedule of qualifiers really made it easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
now I forget, like, oh, all the tournaments blend together to someone like me. Not saying they do to the competitive players, but Clash Masters, yeah, okay, so some of those are qualifiers. And then there was a weird like thing. I think War and Glory got caught up in a weird thing where they got upset early, and then wild cards who did worse than them in the regular season had a chance at a last chance qualifier where
Mm-hmm.
they didn't. And so, it's confusing, and I'll just wait for December or whenever they do the real world championship. But even then, like, I think like Eve Maxey's gone. I was a huge Eve Maxey fan because
Mm-hmm.
he was like a guy with a career, um, and was just a really intelligent player, not taking away from any other pro. He just really stood out to me as someone like, wow, that dude is just that's really cool. But he's not clashing anymore. And
Right.
so that's but one example. And at some point, like, I kind of look at it as, well, I know what I make in my job, and were I to become one of the very best clashers, my chances of equaling that are minuscule to none. Even if I had a massive upgrade in skill somehow.
Yeah, because I mean, and it also seems like the streamers are all streaming. It doesn't matter who you tune into; they're all streaming the same 2 or 3 matches on a weekend, and that's great. I understand that they want to these are the sort of name teams that people want to watch. But there's a lot of good up and coming teams that never get any attention. And sometimes if I remember to watch, I'll look for a team that isn't one of the big name teams. Like I'll watch a streamer that is streaming some lesser known teams just to support that.
I've never really been a big esports fan, mostly because I feel like I'm a little bit of a competitive person and I cannot do what they do. And to watch them, take their queen to that sliver of health and not have to rage and yet still survive, it is frustrating to me because I just don't have the skill or the wherewithal to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
the novelty wore off a long time ago for me. I'm always very excited when I hear ODS or the Trilitatavan guys are in there because I feel like I have a little tie to them, and so that's something that helps me be interested. But beyond that, it's just yeah.
It's interesting because it does seem like there's almost like conglomerates running teams now. Like and I guess that's the way of esports. They're backed by corporations, and there's money behind it. They want to win, so they're going to run 3 or 4 teams and sink some money into it. And good on those guys who are on those teams. But then, I don't know. I just kind of, I guess maybe I'm getting old, but I just kind of miss the days when it was people were playing for the fun of the game and the prestige of winning the title.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we lost that, didn't we?
So, speaking of retirement, is it time to retire clan games? The common complaint is that the challenges are a low point.
I find them a grind every month. I struggle to get even, halfway through that 4,000 on multiple accounts. I really, really need the rewards on my low ones, but it's dull. You have to do so many now, it seems like. Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there aren't as many builder-based ones where you can just zip right through them.
Yeah, I want to know who was complaining about that. That was a big downfall.
I only try to max them on 3 or 4 accounts, but someone that we know, he has like 50 accounts or something, that he used to like max them all. And I think when I talked to him last time, he was like, I can't do this anymore. So, I think between, you've got now the Clan Capital raid weekends and you've got SCCWL and then clan games. Okay, it's great that they're giving us all these things to do, but most of us like to do our regular clan wars and for the CFF, we run our own events, and it's really hard to fit everything in. Peter, you and Fado, trying to do this podcaster tour, trying to coordinate so we can go to a clan in between events and all this other stuff. It's a logistical nightmare.
Oh, right. And also on top of that, if you're doing Legends hits, the last thing you're thinking of is clan games. Well, I hope I come across those TH7s in Legends.
or triple a town hall higher than your own. It's like, well, okay.
Well, break 600 wall segments in Legends. Yeah, there's one.
There's one.
Yeah. So I personally, I think, it could be that might need a revamp as well. Like maybe every second month or a couple of times a year might be something that they could look at and really make it super worthwhile for clans to participate in these things. But I think people are just burning out on those a little bit.
Yeah, it just seems like it's just busy work, doesn't it? They're just trying to make us
If you're maxed, what's the point?
Agreed.
Yeah. And if you're in a clan where 95% of the accounts are max, really, what is the point?
Excellent question. Hope Supercell has an answer soon.
Hopefully they're listening. So let's talk about the main village. What are you guys doing to stay engaged and have fun?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. Trying to stay around 5,200 in Legends. 1 stars. That keeps me engaged.
Are you having fun though?
Oh, loads of fun. Loads of fun. I never knew I could fail the way that I could fail. It's like I'm like successfully failing, and it's fantastic. Like everything's Dr. Rick tells me everything's a learning experience, and I'm like,
Oh boy.
by now I should have a PhD.
How about you, Peter?
Actually, I have been less engaged recently, but my real life has become very busy. So I've dropped back to, I was doing hybrid there for a little bit
Hmm.
after the Royal Rumble, and Wizard of Woo beat me with hybrid. So I was switched to hybrid, thinking that was OP. And I don't know, I just lost interest in it again. I've gone back to Queen Charge Dragon Riders. Ink showed me Gollum into Lalo at Town Hall 9, and I'm really liking that. I've been watching some guys do Queen Charge Lalo at Town Hall 14. They are very, 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 very good, and so I need to kind of baby step it into that. But I think that's my next thing is to
Hmm.
try to get some Lalo experience at Town Hall 14.
I have started to see more of the Redthorn guys using it. So I'm quite impressed, but I don't know. I'm just a ground attacker at heart. So
Right. And I think the ones you're referencing have also really been good at Queen Charge Hybrid too. And that Queen Charge, skill translates big time.
mhm.
Absolutely big time. And there's a reason why I think I stink with Hybrid and Queen Charge Lalo, right? There's a common theme there, Queen Charge.
But do you think a Queen Charge is more powerful than, say, a Blizz starter opener?
I'd have to think about that. It
That's a good
really
question.
it comes back to keep the queen alive, right?
Hmm.
Because your Blizz dies. No matter
Yes,
what, it dies. It might take a good chunk of base or even a large bit of value, but it dies. Like those healers and those rages keep the queen alive, and they can really slice. They can really create the path, let the other heroes do a lot of work, and really turn the rest into a straightforward bit of clashing. That's the theory. I haven't mastered it.
whatever we're doing, we need to keep the heroes alive to the end because it really has become a hero game at Town Hall 14.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you guys concerned about the lack of attention being paid to the main village by Supercell? Do you think that's really going to hurt the game?
We don't know what the Wizard of Oz is doing behind his curtain, do we?
No.
They, it's hard to say, right? It's been very quiet. So that was the spring update, the Clan Capital. Typically, I'm guessing they do an update in June, July also, or June. So
Yeah.
typically.
Hmm.
And so, I'm looking ahead in the agenda, so I'm going to segue here a little, Cat.
Okay.
But if they're working on stuff for the main village and the game is really set up around the World Championships, I struggle to see how they'll interrupt the season, or basically change the game in the middle of a season. Like if they're
100%
going
agree.
to, yeah, if they're going
Yeah.
to deploy a new town hall, it would be December, January. So
Yeah. I
what
totally
what are
agree
they
with that.
doing? It's hard to say what they're doing, but hopefully they're doing something to keep max players interested because they're the ones who have put in the time and the money.
But I know
Yeah.
people right now who are just about max and they are completely disinterested in the game.
Hmm.
They're struggling to get triples. And, I don't mean to say that the game needs to be easier, but it needs to be. The successes make you want to have more successes, right?
Yeah.
Fail after fail, unless you're Fado and love to fail,
Oh, love it.
drive you away. So I know Carl has said he's happy that dragons are less part of the meta, right? He thinks the hit rates have come down to what he thinks is reasonable for us mere mortals. I think the other way. I think Supercell is going to lose those even less engaged players than the three of us that are doing a
Hmm.
podcast because what is there really that's exciting if they can't be in a clan that's warring because they're not good at war, then what are they going to do? They're going to go farm a little account, and then
Yeah.
that drives them away from the max clans like C2J, like Redthorn. ah it's hard. I hope they come to their senses. It feels like it's been so long since the update, but it hasn't been. But it's been so long that everyone was able to max out again really, really quickly, it feels like.
Yeah, and I mean they have made it easier for people to get through a town hall level, and that's great. But it's not keeping pace with their ability to give new content and keep the game engaging. The average player, and we've seen this in our little tour a little bit, doesn't know all these different strategies. Like they are going to use, well, this is dragons, like, or e-drags. They're not doing Queen Charge, Blizzard Lalo, or Skelly Donut, or all these little tricky attacks that some of the more skilled players are doing.
Even the unskilled players are doing
The
it.
unskilled players are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I resemble that remark.
Oh, I was speaking to my mirror here.
But I'm just thinking that they need to do something this summer, and the expectation is, because it's their Clash anniversary, their annually, they do give us something. I'm really not sure what they can give us. Like, do we need new hero levels? Some quality of life changes? Like, I'd like to see the ability to label, in your base building section there. I'd like to be able to post something on each base saying what defensive CC I want to put in there, or the way you name your troops, right? Your army comps. Why can't I name my bases?
Yeah. I'm desperate to be able to take a picture of my whole Legends Day. That's a thing for me. But you can't show all your attacks.
Yeah,
you
that's
got
true.
three 40s, but they're one at the top and one at the bottom. You can't show them together.
What's 40?
Yeah. Sorry, Fado.
40's a good first 2 or 3 hits for me.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what is on my wish list, Peter?
Tell me.
A bigger clan size.
Yes,
And even if you had like some guest slots, you could they weren't like elders or codes or anything, but you could invite people over to do some FCs or something. If your clan was full. Like, I know not every clan has issues.
But a lot of clans do.
But
a lot of clans do.
There are
Noble
a lot of
Hero
big
is
clans.
full all the time. C2J is full all the time.
C2J is full. C-Note and Carl can't even get into their own clan half the time.
That's right. Catfish's Knights of Zion is full all the time.
Yeah.
Just
need a couple of slots, even if it was 5. Like, and we're always talking about what's the point of leveling up your clan? Like, somebody asked me the other day, what's the highest clan level that I've seen? And I looked, and it's 34, and I'm thinking, well, that's great, but what do you get for it?
Just the number.
Answer for a trivia question.
Yeah, there you go.
And I would still like them to do something about super troops. I never have used sneaky goblins. I watch all the pros use them to funnel with. I have to have super minions to donate to clan castles.
Sneaky gobs are fantastic.
See,
yeah,
you're
but
living that.
If you're doing super bowlers, for example, you've got like a super wall breaker, and you've got your super bowlers, but then you don't have any room for super gogs.
Well, that's when you request them for your CC, Kat.
Oh, okay. But I was thinking, if they made super wall breakers just a regular troop, get rid of the regular wall breakers.
I like in this idea.
Make your super wall breaker this is the wall breaker. And
this is the wall breaker.
Or allow you to have 3 super troops. I need that.
One day they'll listen to us.
I doubt it.
So wait, if they don't listen to us, so I could just sit here and insult Darian till the day goes dark, and he won't be aware.
Well, he probably does listen.
Do we assume he listens or not?
I'm going to assume that he does, because as the community manager, he probably watches everything.
I take it all back.
Yeah, that's right.
No, wait. In case Darian's listening, do you remember when he changed my name? Like, to goof on mules, I once changed my name to Darian from SC. And then
I remember that.
I woke up and someone's like, hey, who's Fluffy Bunnies? I was like, what? No, I don't know.
I did not hear about that.
That's me. I'm Fluffy Bunnies. Wait,
tell Pete the story now.
Oh, yeah. So back in the rated, one of my minis, I was like, I'm just going to troll mules, because he was always joking about how Darian was breaking the game. So I'm like, well, wouldn't it be great if Darian showed up in this clan? And so one day Mule starts doing his thing in clan chat. So logged on to my mini with a new name and started going back at him. We all had a great laugh until the next day. Either someone ratted me out or they have some sort of a scheduled job that says, hey, look what Fado did. Or look, someone changed their name to Darian something. And boom, they renamed it to Fluffy Bunnies.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. You're
I
like a
do remember
legend,
that.
Fado. That's amazing.
I had the Finnish hammer dropped on me.
The Finnish hammer with the psychic octopus.
They probably scan for certain words.
Yep, that happened.
Okay.
That was real.
On that note, let's go to shout outs. Fatal, you're first.
All right, well, I guess I got to shout out Darian. What up, dude? Shouting out Mules for making me making me come up with that stupid plan that cost me 1,000 gems, or it was 1,500, 500 gems
What?
for the first name change and 1,000 to
Oh,
change it from Fluffy Bunnies. Cheers, bud. Shout out to Stormy for being such a positive presence in everything. He's awesome. And finally, as always, shout out to Redthorn, our great leadership crew, and all the people there that make it such a welcoming and fun place to clash.
awesome. Peter, how about you?
I'm going to shout out Lolly. I think she's back from her holiday and she's been still working on capital base building for us. So that's been letting me not worry about it. So thanks very much, Lolly. And then to everybody who came to Buffalo, if I named you during the podcast, this is your shout out now. But particularly, I want to shout out Miss P for opening up her house to us, bunch of degenerates, and letting us kick around and play in her yard. Thank you so much for giving us a comfortable place to play and meet each other. It was really super.
Awesome.
Thanks.
And my shout out's going to be, I'm going to shout out Stormy and Magnus and C-Note and Bigosco for being my on voice music buddies all the time. They're always hanging out with me there on voice and music, and I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. The CFF is a family of clans in games such as Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and many of the other Supercell games. We love to provide content via podcasts and other media. You can visit the Clash Files Discord to apply to any of our clans or to support our pods and events. As always, please send us your comments, ideas, and questions on Twitter at redthorncoc or join the Clash Files Discord at discord.gg/clashfiles.